Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all our KCF members for our third book review session on this beautiful rainy Sunday morning. The atmosphere is perfect for a cup of tea and a book review of Elon Musk's astonishingly intimate story written by Walter Isaacson. It is my pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. Chirag Gala, who's also a member of our KCF committee. He's a remarkable individual who embodies, like Elon Musk, innovation and leadership in the field of healthcare technology. At 39 years old, Chirag is not only an accomplished electronic engineer and an MBA, but he's also the managing director of AVI Healthcare Private Limited, a company renowned for its groundbreaking medical devices, including ICU ventilators and neonatal medical equipment. With a profound interest in healthcare, medical devices, IoT, AI, and machine learning, Chirag has made significant contributions to the medical industry. His innovative spirit has been recognized through numerous awards for his pioneering developments, such as transport incubators and ventilators. During the challenging times of the COVID-19 lockdown, when India was importing 95% of ventilators, Chirag showcased exceptional leadership and ingenuity by launching an indigenous ICU ventilator within just 4 months. This initiative played a crucial role in supplying vital equipment to various COVID hospitals, and AVI Healthcare manufactured over 400 ventilators, saving thousands of lives affected by the coronavirus. Today, the upgraded made in India ventilators developed under Chirag's guidance are being supplied to prestigious institutions like AIIMS, and other reputed hospitals across India and abroad, further solidifying AVI Healthcare's reputation for excellence. With that, please join me in welcoming Mr. Chirag Gala as he shares his insights and review on the book on Elon Musk with us today. Over to you, Chirag, and welcome.
Thank you, Karan. I'll just share screen. I hope you all can see my screen. Yes. So thank you very much, KCF, for giving me an opportunity for the book review of an inspiration and innovator, a visionary, Elon Musk. And it gives me great pleasure to present my insights and my review for this book. I also wish all of you, all the KCF members and whoever have attended this seminar, happy Kachi New Year. So let us start the book review. So about the book, this book is a very big book. It has about 670 pages. The author, Walter Isaacson, has shadowed Elon Musk, attended his meetings, walked his factories, spent hours interviewing him, his family, his friends, his adversaries, and everybody, and his colleagues. So it is a very exhaustive book up till about maybe last April or March 2023. It covers his entire life from his childhood to his personal life to his businesses and up till the great Twitter storm which happened 2 years back. So as we begin with his childhood, he was born on June 28, 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. He had a very strained relationship with his father, Errol. They fought a lot and it was a very abusive relationship. He was frequently bullied in school. He was once hospitalized after being pushed down the flight of stairs by bullies. He had a relentless drive to learn, avid reader of books from science fiction, biographies, and encyclopedia. At age of 10, he developed a very keen interest in computing and taught himself programming. So Elon Musk, as you all must be knowing, the greatest recall of Elon Musk comes via Twitter. If anybody's following Twitter, or maybe a Tesla. No, and not many have seen Tesla in India, but if you go to Dubai or to US or anywhere else, you see the ingenuity and the brilliance with which the Tesla car has been made. and you read about SpaceX and I mean, I don't know how much it gets covered in India, but not many people know all about Elon Musk and what all things he has done. So this presentation is a endeavor to cover that. Uh, so these are the companies he has founded or involved in. He started with Zip2. Then he 1999 he started X.com and PayPal. Then SpaceX. Then Tesla, Solar City, Starlink, OpenAI, the Chat GPT, which we all know, Neuralink, the boring company, now Twitter and X.ai. Some of his futuristic projects include Optimus Robot, Cybertruck, Robotaxi, Autopilot, Starship, which we all would see in the subsequent presentation. So this is an exhaustive presentation where I have not covered the personal life of Elon Musk, but more on the companies he has founded, what are his insights in the company, how has he founded, what is his role in that, and some interesting stories in each company. So through these stories, you learn a lot about how Elon Musk thinks and how we get inspired. What are the learnings we get from this? So we start with Zip2, which he founded in 1996 with his cousins Kimball Musk and Greg Corey. The idea was to put a searchable directory of business online and combine it with a map software that would give users direction to them. So it was in 1996, and this easily takes place. I mean, you can see this in a Google map right now, but this was the idea which he started with in 1996. He got a VC funding for $3 million. But once the VC came, they set aside Elon Musk and appointed a professional CEO. And Elon Musk was made a CTO. So instead of marketing its product directly to businesses and consumers, Zip2 focused on selling its software to newspapers. So Musk became very frustrated by Zip2's strategy of relegating itself to being unbranded vendor to a newspaper industry. He wanted to buy a domain name city.com and become a consumer destination, again competing with Yahoo and AOL. Investors sold Zip2 to Compaq Computers for its Alta Vista search engine. I mean, you might recall this if you are an NT skilled, and at $307 million. So what Musk had was some money in his bank, and but the learning which he got was that you could not truly be a chief technology or a product officer unless you were the CEO. And then came X.com or PayPal. So in 1991, Elon Musk founded X.com, online financial services and payment company. It aimed to revolutionize online banking by offering a variety of financial services, including checking accounts, insurance, and online payments. So he wanted X.com to create a single platform where users could manage all their financial needs. And one of its key innovations was the ability to send money via email, a novel concept at that time. And then at the same time, Peter Thiel, you might recall the book Zero to One. So the Peter Thiel of that book, he co-founded Confinity and developed a similar service on secure online payments. Its product was called PayPal, and it was an intense rivalry with X.com. So finally, they recognized the potential synergies, and X.com merged with Confinity and adopted the name PayPal, focusing primarily on online payments. But then, post-merger, Musk's vision and management style clashed with his other executives, leading to tensions within the leadership team. So in October 2000, when Musk was on honeymoon, his board of directors, they all did a coup and replaced him as a CEO with Peter Thiel. So he was ousted in a very not a good manner. And but then PayPal went public in February 2022, and eBay acquired PayPal for 1.5 billion in stock, providing a substantial return on investment for Musk and other shareholders. So Elon Musk's involvement with X.com and PayPal, it showcases his ability to innovate and navigate the challenges of tech industry. The experience provided him with valuable insights and financial backing, which he leveraged to pursue an even more ambitious ventures in space exploration, electric vehicles, and renewable energy, as we'll see. So, we'll first go to his most talked about venture, SpaceX. Why Mars? So, after his ouster from PayPal, Musk was discussing with his friend on what next to do. He had money in his account. He said he wanted to do something in space. His friend said it was too expensive for a private person to build a rocket. What does it take to build a rocket? Musk figured just metal and fuel. That evening, he logged into NASA website to read about its plan to go to Mars. He figured that NASA has reached Moon in 1969. So of course, NASA would have plans for Mars, and it would have already would have tried to reach Mars. But he was shocked that NASA had no plans for Mars. In fact, after 1969, it didn't even go to Moon again. So in his Google searches for more information, he happened to come across an announcement for a dinner in Silicon Valley hosted by an organization called Mars Society. And he bought a pair of $500 ticket. He ended sending a check of $5,000, which caught the attention of Robert Zurin, who was a society's management. And because of that, he got to sit across a table along with the film director James Cameron, who had directed Terminator, Titanic, and was directing a space war thriller, Aliens. So James talked to Elon about Mars and why humans should be doomed if they didn't colonize other planets. So Mars decided that now had a new mission, one that was loftier than launching an internet bank or digital yellow pages. He went to Palo Alto Public Library to read about the rocket engineering and started calling experts asking to borrow their old engine money. So Musk decided now he had his only one life mission. I am going to colonize Mars. My mission in life is to make mankind a multi-planetary civilization. So it is useful to pause for a moment and note how wild it was for a 30-year-old entrepreneur who had just been ousted from two tech startups to decide to build rockets that could go to Mars. What drove him, other than aversion to vacations and childlike love for rockets, sci-fi, and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, to his bemused friends at that time, he gave three reasons. He found it surprising and frightening that technological progress was not inevitable, it could stop. It could even backslide. America had gone to moon, but then came the grounding of shuttle missions and end to the progress. So do we want to tell our children that going to the moon is the best we did? And then we give up, he asks. Another motivation was that colonizing other planets would help ensure the survival of human civilization and consciousness in case something happened to our fragile planet. It may someday be destroyed by an asteroid or a climate change or nuclear war. His third motivation was more inspiration. The United States is literally a distillation of human spirit of exploration, he said. This is a land of adventures. So he started building rockets. Now let us see what are the Musk rules for rocket building. And this has been very nicely explained in the book. He first of all devised an idiot index. Idiot index calculated, it was a quest to make rocket led him to develop idiot index, which calculated how much more costly a finished product was than the cost of its basic materials. So if a product had a very high idiot index, its cost would be reduced significantly by devising more efficient manufacturing techniques. The rocket had an extremely high idiot index. Musk began calculating the cost of carbon fiber, metal, fuel, and other materials that went into them. The finished product using the current manufacturing methods cost at least 50 times more than that. If humanity was going to get to Mars, the technology of rockets must radically improve, he decided. So the first rule is question every cost. The rocket components were subject to hundreds of specifications and requirements mandated by the military and NASA. At big aerospace companies, engineers followed those religiously. Musk did the opposite. He made his engineers question all the specifications. So whenever one of his engineers cited a requirement as a reason for doing something, Musk would grill them who made the requirement. All the requirements should be treated as recommendations, he repeatedly instructed. Only immutable ones were those decreed by the laws of physics. Rule 2 was to have a maniacal sense of urgency. Musk insisted on setting unrealistic deadlines even when they weren't necessary, such as when he ordered test stands to be erected in weeks for the rocket engine that had not yet been built. A maniacal sense of urgency is our operating principle, he repeatedly declared. Sense of urgency was good for its own sake. It made his engineers engage in first principle thinking. The third rule is learn by failing. Musk took an iterative approach to design. Rockets and engine would be quickly prototyped, tested, blown up, revised, and tried again until finally something worked. For example, there was a set of military specification of how many hours each new version of engine needed to be test fired under a long list of different conditions. It was tedious approach and expensive. It would have taken years. Elon Musk's solution was to just build one engine, fire it on the test stand. If it worked, put it on the rocket and fly it. So simple. The rule number 4 was improvise. One night, lightning struck the test tank, knocking out the pressurization system for a fuel tank. This led to a bulge and rip in one of the tank's membrane. In a normal aerospace company, that would have meant replacing the tanks, which would have taken months. Musk said, nah, just fix it. Go up there with some hammer, just pound it back out, weld it, and we'll keep going. So he believed every situation is salvageable. 4 times the charm. Uh, Musk had budgeted for 3 launch attempts of Falcon 1, and all had exploded before they could get into the orbit. Facing personal bankruptcy and with Tesla in a financial condition, it was hard to see how he was going to raise money for a 4th attempt. So he had blown away 3 attempts. His money was gone. He didn't have money, but it was very hard to see how there could be a 4th attempt. And then a surprising group came to the rescue. His fellow co-founders of PayPal, who had ejected him in the role of CEO 8 years earlier. It served as a lifeline that allowed Musk to declare that he was going to fund a 4th launch. It was an interesting exercise in karma, Musk said. After I got assassinated by the PayPal coup leaders like Caesar being stabbed in the Senate, I could have said, you guys, you suck. If Founders Fund wouldn't have come through in 2008, the SpaceX would be dead. I'm not into astrology or shit like that, but karma may be real, Musk said. So his 4th attempt was scheduled on September 28, 2008 and was successful. The next story we see about SpaceX is about reusable rockets. So Musk had a vision that for what would make the space travel feasible, rockets that are reusable. Mind you, even ISRO doesn't have a reusable rocket yet. And SpaceX is the only company which reuses a rocket. It doesn't need to make additional rockets. It just reuses the rocket which it has, which is very ingenious. He believed a fully reusable rocket is the difference between being a single planet civilization and being a multi-planet. So Musk's quest to build a reusable rocket led to the development of Falcon 9 with landing legs in 2015. So next endeavor was about the Starship. If Musk's goal had been to create a profitable rocket company, he would have allowed himself to collect his winnings and relax after surviving 2018. His reusable workhorse Falcon 9 had become the world's most efficient and reliable rocket, and he had developed his own communication satellites that would eventually produce a gusher of revenue. But his goal was not merely to be a space entrepreneur. He has to get humanity to Mars anyhow. And that could not be done on a Falcon 9 or its beefed up sub-sibling Falcon Heavy. Falcons can fly only so high. I could have made a lot of money, but I could not have made the life multiplanetary, his only mission. That's why he announced in September 2017 that SpaceX would develop a much bigger reusable rocket, tallest and most powerful ever built, Starship. Even the NASA had never built such a rocket. So in 2018, an engineer pointed out that due to carbon fiber material which was being used, the sheets were developing wrinkles. And also, the process was slow and expensive. Musk thought that if we keep going with carbon fiber, I was never going to be able to reach Mars. The Starship production facility, which was located near port of Los Angeles, Musk got quiet and stared at the ships coming into the port. And then he realized, guys, how about going with stainless steel? His engineers argued that rocket of stainless steel would be heavier than that one built with the carbon fiber. He told the team, run the numbers. When they did so, they realized that steel would in fact turn out to be lighter in conditions that Starship would be facing. At very cold, extremely cold temperatures, the strength of stainless steel increases by 50%, which means that it could be stronger when holding a super cool liquid, oxygen, and nitrogen fuel. In addition, the high melting point of stainless steel would eliminate the need of heat shield on Starship's space-facing side, reducing the overall weight of the rocket. And final advantage was it was easier to weld together pieces of stainless steel. The aluminum lithium of Falcon 9 required a process called stir welding that could be done in a very pristine environment. But stainless steel could be welded even in big tents or even outdoors. As Musk said, with stainless steel, you can smoke a cigar next to it as you weld. So as you can see the photo of Starship, it is completely made of stainless steel, which is very unique. And it shows the ingenuity of Elon Musk. So next story is about Starship and story of Chopstick. It had begun in 8 months earlier at the end of 2020 when the SpaceX team was discussing the landing legs being planned for Starship. So like Falcon, even Starship had to be reusable. When Musk's guiding principle was rapid reusability, which he often declared was a holy grail of making humans a spacefaring civilization. In other words, rockets should be like airplanes. They should take off, land, and then take off again as soon as possible. The Falcon 9 had become the world's only rapid reusable rocket. Nevertheless, he was not enamored with the landing legs being planned for Starship booster because they added weight, thus cutting the size of payloads the booster could lift. So why don't we try to use the tower to catch it? He was referring to the tower that holds the rocket in the launch pad. So Musk had already come up with the idea of using the tower to stack the rocket. It had set of arms that could pick up the first stage booster and place it on the launch mount, and pick up the second stage spacecraft and place it top the booster. Now he was suggesting that arms could also be used to catch the booster when it returned to Earth. It was a wild idea inspired by the scene in Karate Kid, where the karate master, Mr. Niyogi, uses a pair of chopsticks to catch a fly. The tower arms, Musk said, would be called a chopstick, and he dubbed the whole tower Mechazilla. So you can even go to YouTube today and see this video on how they have managed to land the Starship using this mechanism. It's a fascinating video. You can just Google it and see. And it's a very nice thing. And then comes the Starlink. He started in January 2015. So getting to Mars could be cost serious money. Musk combined, as he often did, an inspirational plan with a practical business plan. So there were many revenue opportunities he could pursue, including space tourism and satellite launches. So in late 2014, he turned his attention to what was a bigger pot of gold, providing internet service to paying customers. SpaceX would make and launch its own communication satellites, and in effect, rebuilding the internet in the outer space. Internet revenue is about $1 trillion a year, he says. If we can serve 3%, that's $30 billion, which is more than the NASA's budget. And that was the inspiration for Starlink to fund getting to Mars, again the Mars. So he pauses and then adds for emphasis, the length of getting to Mars has motivated every SpaceX decision. So in January 2015, he announced the creation of Starlink. The Starlink goal was to create a mega constellation of 40,000 satellites to provide high-speed internet. The next venture is the Boring Company. So on a trip to Hong Kong in late 2016, Musk had jammed day of meetings, as he was often the case, needed some meetings or minutes of downtime so he could recharge and check his phone and just stare blankly. And now he was staring when John McNeil, the Tesla's president of sales and marketing, came over to break him out of his trance. So Musk finally said, did you ever notice that the cities are built in 3D and the roads are only built in 2D? McNeil looked puzzled. You could build roads in 3D by building tunnels under the city, Musk explained. So he called his trusted engineer. It was 2 a.m. in California. And he told him, you have 4 hours. Uh, you just have to study ways to build tunnels and quickly and inexpensively. So when he arrived back in Los Angeles a few days later, Musk found himself stuck in traffic. So he started tweeting, traffic is driving me nuts, he wrote. I'm going to build a tunnel boring machine and start digging. And it shall be called the Boring Company. Boring, it's what we do. So this is how he founded this boring company, which is a tunnel boring company, and with it comes his own ideas of hyperloop and many other things, where you can just build roads by having a tunnel inside the cities. Then comes Solar City. So this is the idea that Musk and his cousins were working on, which is a solar roof. So rather than having a solar panels that could be installed on top of a regular roof, solar roof was the tiles. It was made of tiles that had solar cells embedded inside them. So solar tiles could replace the existing roof and be laid on the top of it. Either way, it would look like a roof rather than the bunch of solar panels mounted on a roof. With solar roof connected to home battery and a Tesla in the garage, the people could free themselves from dependency on big utilities and oil companies. The combined offering would enable Tesla to do more to fight climate change than other company, perhaps any other entity in the world. So this was one more company he did, Solar City. And then comes the Tesla. Uh, Elon Musk co-founded Tesla in 2004, but the origins of the company began with the engineers Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, who co-founded Tesla Motors in 2003. They aimed to create electric motor cars. Musk joined Tesla after leading a $7.5 million Series A funding in February 2004 and becoming the chairman of the board. Despite not being a founder, Musk's vision and funding was crucial in transforming Tesla into a leading electric vehicle manufacturer. He played a significant role in product design, especially with Roadster, and the stories of which you will find in this book. The Musk's determination to make electric cars viable and successful led to the eventual development of Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Model Y, establishing Tesla as a major player in the automotive industry. So if you have gone to outside India and if you have seen Tesla, it has a big touchscreen dashboard, and I saw it in Dubai, and it was one of the greatest piece of engineering I ever saw. I ever saw. So we see the story next of the battery factory in Nevada called Gigafactory. So the idea that Musk proposed in 2013 was audacious to build a gigantic battery factory in US with an output greater than all the other battery factories in the world. It was a complete wacky idea. One of his co-founders, Strobel, said, it seemed like a science fiction claim. To Musk, it was a matter of first principles. So Model S was using about 10% of world's batteries. The new models which it had on the drawing board, an SUV or a mass market sedan, would require 10 times the number of batteries. But there was one problem. Musk had no clue how to build a battery factory. So Musk and Strobel decided to pursue a partnership with the battery supplier Panasonic. Together, they built a facility where Panasonic would make the battery cells and the Tesla would turn them into battery packs for cars. But the 10 million square foot factory would cost $5 billion and Panasonic would finance $2 billion of it. But the Panasonic's top leaders were hesitant. They had never had that type of partnership, and Musk did not strike them as an easy guy to dance with. So Musk and Strobel, they came up with a charade. At a site near Reno, Nevada, they set up lights, sent in bulldozers to start preparing for construction. And then Strobel invited his counterpart from Panasonic to join him in the viewing platform to watch the work. The message was clear. Tesla was forging ahead with the factory. Did Panasonic want to be left behind? And it worked. Musk and Strobel were invited to Japan by Panasonic's new young president, Kazuhiro Suga, and he agreed to be a 40% partner in the Gigafactory. In 2017, Tesla had began the Model 3 production. Musk had done the calculation of company's cost, overhead, and cash flow, and deduced that Tesla would survive only if they started churning out 5,000 Model 3s per week. If not, it would run out of money. By end of 2017, Tesla was making cars only at half of that rate. So Musk decided to move himself to the factory floors and started with Gigafactory of batteries at Nevada. The person who designed the line told Musk that making 5,000 battery packs a week was insane. At most, we could make 1,800. He was fired. Musk took charge of the factory floor. At one point, Musk noticed that assembly line was being slowed at a station where strips of fiberglass were glued to the battery packs by an expensive but slow robot. I realized that the first error was trying to automate the process, he said, which was my fault because I pushed for a lot of automation. So, after much frustration, he asked a basic question: what the hell are those fiberglass strips for? He was trying to visualize why they are needed between the battery and floor plan. The team couldn't justify the need, and so it was deleted. So he declared that the step one should be to question the requirements, make them less wrong and dumb, because all requirements are somewhat wrong and dumb, and then delete, delete, delete. The same approach worked for even the smallest details. So, for example, when the battery packs were completed in Nevada, little plastic caps were put on the prongs that would be plugged into the car. So, when the battery got to the Fremont car assembly factory, the plastic caps were removed and discarded. When Musk asked why the caps existed, he was told it was certified to make sure the pins did not get bent. Who specified the requirement? He asked. The factory team scrambled to find out and they were unable to come up with a name. So, delete them. So, at many stations, Musk found out that the robots were causing a delay and hence he replaced them by humans. By April 2018, the factory was working better. So, he turned his attention to the Fremont car factory. Now, Musk had come to realize that designing a good factory was like designing a microchip. So, it was important to create in each patch the right density, the flow, and the processes. So, he paid the most attention to a monitor that showed each station on the assembly line with a green or red line, indicating whether it was flowing properly. There were also green and red lights at the station themselves. So, the Musk was able to walk to the floor and home in on the trouble spots. And his team called it walk to the red. So, yeah. Throughout the summer of 2018, Elon Musk walked the factory floor to any red light he saw and made decisions on the fly. What's the problem? Part was missing. Who is in charge of that part? Get him over here. The sensor gets tripping. Who calibrated it? Why do we even need that sensor? The production line often halted when the safety sensors were triggered. Musk decided they were too sensitive and tripping when there was no real problem. So this led to a crusade to weed out the sensors in both Tesla cars and SpaceX rockets. Unless a sensor is absolutely needed to start an engine or safely stop an engine before it explodes, it must be deleted. So he also issued another order. You have 72 hours to remove every unnecessary machine or robot. He took responsibility for over automation and even announced it publicly. That excessive automation at Tesla was a mistake. So, to be precise, my mistake, humans are underrated. But they still reached at 3,500 Model 3s a week, far short of number 5,000. And there was no way for Tesla to build another factory or even get a permit to do so at least a year. He had to reach 5,000 numbers anyhow. So he turned his attention to an old parking lot, which we can see in the picture here. And in 2 weeks, they were able to complete a tent facility that was 1,000 feet long and 150 feet wide for a makeshift assembly line. Instead of robots, there were humans at each station. So Musk declared, if conventional thinking makes your mission impossible, then unconventional thinking was necessary. On July 1, Tesla rolled out the 5,000th car that week. So he devised an algorithm. And what are the algorithm? What he said, there are five commandments. First, question every requirement. Second, delete any part of process you can. Third, simplify and optimize. Fourth, accelerate cycle time. Fifth, automate. And this comes last after all the bugs are shaken. And what are the corollaries to the above? First, technical managers must have hands-on experience. Second, camaraderie is dangerous. It makes it hard for the people to challenge each other's work. There is a tendency to not want to throw a colleague under the bus, and that must be avoided. You should not have friends on the assembly line. It's okay to be wrong, just don't be confident and never ask your troops to do something you're not willing to. Whenever there are problems to solve, don't just meet with your managers. Do a skip level and meet a level right below your manager. When hiring, look for people with the right attitude. The skills can be taught. The attitude changes require a brain transfer. Maniacal sense of urgency is our operating principle. The only rules are the ones dictated by the laws of physics. Everything else is a recommendation. And he strongly believed in that. The next story is about autopilot. Musk had discussed with Larry Page of Google the possibility of Tesla and Google working together to build an autopilot system that would make cars to be self-driving. But they're failing out over artificial intelligence spurred Musk to accelerate plans for Tesla to build a system on its own. So Google's autopilot program, eventually named uh, Waymo, used a laser radar device known as LiDAR. The Musk resisted the use of LiDAR and other radar-like instruments, insisting that a self-driving system could only use visual data from cameras. It was a case of first principles again. The humans drove using only the visual data, therefore the machine should also be able to. It was also an issue of cost. As always, Musk focused not just on design of product, but also on how it could be manufactured in large numbers. The problem with Google's approach was that its sensor system is just too expensive. It's better to have an optical system, basically cameras with software that is able to figure out what's going on by just looking at things. So over the next decade, Musk would engage in tug of war with his engineers, many of them who wanted to include some form of radar in Tesla's self-driving cars. So by 2015, he was spending hours with his autopilot team, and every meeting started with Elon asking, "Why can't the car drive myself from my home to work?" And then he came up with robotaxi. Self-driving cars would do more than merely free folks from drudgery of driving. That would, to a large extent, eliminate the need of people to own cars. The future should belong to robotaxi, a driverless vehicle that would appear when you summoned it, take you to your destination, then ride off to the next passenger. Some might be owned by the individuals, or most would be owned by fleet companies or Tesla itself. Next company which he co-founded was which he founded was Neuralink. So on a trip to somewhere in 2016, Musk was typing on his iPhone with his thumb and began complaining about how long it. Typing allowed information to flow from our brains into our devices at only about 100 bits per second. Imagine if you could think into a machine, he said, like a high-speed connection directly between your mind and your machine. So he leaned over to Sam Teller, who was riding in the car with him. Can you get a neuroscientist who can help me understand the computer brain interface? He asked. The ultimate human machine interface, Musk realized, would be a device that connected our computers directly to our brains, such as a chip inside our skull that would send our brain signals to our computer and receive signals back. Thus, he founded a company in late 2016 called Neuralink to implant small chips into the brain and allow humans to meld it with computers. By 2021, it had implanted a chip into the brain of monkey and taught it to play Pong telepathically. This video on YouTube again is watchable and it has received millions of views. He had aimed a paralyzed person might someday use their mind to move a cursor on the computer. But that was not enough. Musk started pushing the idea of using Neuralink to enable paralyzed people to actually use the limbs again. A chip in the brain could just send signals to the relevant muscles, bypassing the spinal cord blockage or neurological malfunction. He also set a mission for restoring vision. Even if someone is born blind, we can allow them to see. That was his mission. Next, OpenAI and ChatGPT. So the story was that at Musk's 2013 birthday party in Napa Valley, Elon Musk and Larry Page from Google, who were good friends, they got into a passionate debate in front of the other guests. Musk argued that unless we build in a safeguards, artificial intelligence system might replace humans, making our species irrelevant and even extinct. The Page pushed back. Why would it matter if the machines someday surpass humans in intelligence and even consciousness? It would simply be the next stage of evolution. The human consciousness, Musk retorted, was a precious flicker of light in the universe, and we should not let it extinguish. Musk considered that as a sentimental nonsense. If consciousness could be replicated in a machine, why would that not be just be as valuable? Perhaps we might even be able to someday upload our own consciousness into a machine. Musk was therefore dismayed when he heard at the end of 2013 that Page and Google were planning to buy DeepMind, an AI startup. So Musk decided that the future of AI should not be controlled by people like Larry. And since that day, Larry and Musk are not on talking terms. So Musk then turned to Sam Altman. They co-founded a non-profit AI research lab, OpenAI. It would make its software open source and try to counter Google's dominance in field. I think the best defense against the misuse of AI is to empower as many people as possible to have AI. OpenAI went on to make ChatGPT, as we all know, very famously, and but the Musk's determination to develop artificial intelligence capabilities of his own companies caused a break with OpenAI in 2018. He fell out with Sam Altman. He tried to convince Altman that OpenAI, which he thought was falling behind Google, should be folded into Tesla. The OpenAI team rejected that idea. Altman stepped in as the president of Lab, starting a for-profit arm that was able to raise equity funding. And so Musk decided to forge ahead with building a rival AI team to work on Tesla Autopilot. So Musk's interest in artificial intelligence would lead him to launch an array of related projects. These include Neuralink, which aims to plant microchips into human brains, Optimus, a human-like robot, a Dojo, a supercomputer that can use billions of videos to train an artificial neural network to simulate a human brain. It also spurred him to become obsessed with pushing to make Tesla cars self-driving. At first, these endeavors were rather independent, but eventually Musk would tie them all together along with a new chatbot company he co-founded called X.AI to pursue the goal of artificial general intelligence. So mind you, the Google's Bard, it uses the entire Google software, Google search engine to make a chatbot. ChatGPT uses the internet and the GitHub and the resources of Microsoft to self-learn on a neural network to make ChatGPT of what it is. But what Musk has done, it has hundreds, thousands, and lakhs of videos which which Tesla sees on a daily basis. So it knows how the human brain operates when these videos, when it scans these videos, which is what Dojo is doing to train an artificial neural network to simulate a human brain. So Tesla also, the Musk also has a huge repository of the videos and the network from the Tesla to devise Optimus, a human-like robot, or Autopilot, which is a self-driving cars. So ultimate expression of safe AI, especially for someone who is imbibed sci-fi as a kid, would be creating a humanoid robot. one that would process visual inputs and learn to perform tasks without violating Asimov's law that robot should not harm humanity or any human. So when while OpenAI and Google were focusing on creating text-based chatbots, Musk decided to focus on artificial intelligence systems that operated in physical worlds such as robots and cars. If you can create a self-driving car, which is a robot on wheels, then you can make a robot on legs, as Musk said. So on September 30, 2022, Musk unveiled a prototype of Optimus. Our goal is to make a useful humanoid robot as quickly as possible, he told the audience, and eventually he promised there would be billions of them. So next is Twitter. Twitter was an ideal playground for Musk. It rewards players who are impulsive, irreverent, and unfiltered. It has many attributes of schoolyard, including taunting and bullying. In case of Twitter, the clever kids win followers rather than get pushed down the concrete steps. And if you are the richest and cleverest of all, you can even decide, unlike back when you were a kid, to become the king of schoolyard. So you have to see the mind of Elon Musk, where he in his childhood he was very much taunted and bullied, and this was also one of the influence by why he followed Twitter a lot, and he's an avid Twitter user. So by early 2022, a new ingredient that had been added to this combustible cauldron called Twitter, Musk's swelling concern with the danger of woke mind virus that he believed was infecting America. He disdained Donald Trump, but he felt it was absurd to ban a permanently former president. Donald Trump was banned in 2019 by Twitter. And he became increasingly riled up by the complaints from those of right who were being suppressed on Twitter. He saw the direction Twitter was heading, which was if you were on the wrong end of the spectrum, you were censored. It would not be long. Not, I would not go into the long and juicy story of Twitter takeover, which is a part of a separate lecture and it's a long story which is very much described in the book, but it is very best enjoyed while reading the book. So after Musk's takeover, Twitter went for a overhaul. It was now called X, in the line with Musk's vision to be a super app in 2003. Musk fired more than 80% of staff, shifted towards free speech with relaxed content moderation. He also introduced new monetization strategies and rapid product changes. So if you're not on Twitter, you should go. You should go regularly, as I am also much addicted on Twitter. You follow Elon Musk, and it's a complete entertainment by following him because the kind of tweets he does, and it is a big entertainment. You all would agree when you follow him. So finally, I have listed some of the Musk antiques which I found in the book, which makes him so unique and crazy. Musk has named his children from Grimes, XA12 something something, commonly referred to as X. Exa Dark Sidereal Musk, nicknamed as Y, and Techno Mechanicus Musk, nicknamed Tau. Who would name their child like that? Musk has had 3 kids with his colleague in Neuralink, Shivon Gillis, by IVF because he believed that he was helping underpopulation crisis and collapsing birth rates. And it was also hard to believe that Musk has sold most of his real estate properties and does not own a traditional house. Yes, the richest man on earth, he does not own a traditional house. Instead, reports suggest he resides on a prefabricated tiny house near SpaceX headquarters in Boca Chica, Texas. The house is a compact foldable unit produced by Boxable, a startup specializing in affordable housing solutions. Also, during sale of Twitter, he actually brought with him a sink to Twitter headquarters just to tweet, "Let that sink in," and that's how crazy he is. So, to summarize about Elon Musk's personality, he is a complex and multifaceted, characterized by a blend of intense drive, visionary thinking, and often polarizing behavior. He is visionary, ambitious, relentless, determined, and a lot of all these things. So, if you had one word to describe Elon Musk, what would it be? Please write on the chat box. It would be very interesting to know. For me, that word is crazy. Crazy enough to think that he can change the world. Thank you very much. It has been quite a long presentation. I am sure you would have any questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chirag. Excellent presentation. I think the slides were excellent, and the way you described it is excellent. So while our audience thinks and puts up the questions in the Q&A box, just some few announcements around the forthcoming programs for KCF. We'll just take a minute. Uh, we have our flagship 10x summit, which has, is the third round now, which will happen on 2nd August. And this time we're having it very much in Mumbai. So we would expect a lot of participation and very good speakers lined up as usual. So please watch out for that. Upcoming, we have on 12th July a program on media and entertainment with the Wellinger School. So I would request people who are interested in the media and entertainment field. We have some very good speakers, including Bharat Dabholkar as well on that. Other than that, we have our first KCF newsletter, which should hit your mailbox and the Jambo app in the upcoming week. We did notice that many people are still not using the Jambo app, so we may have a Zoom session just to get people familiarized with how that setup works and how they should be using it much more often. Uh, the last one is a key milestone that we've hit, which was the Harvard tie-up with the Harvard Business School that we had announced. We've completed the first round of enrollment with 30 students. Our orientation session was done on Zoom, and from tomorrow we expect the enrollment to start. We're wishing all the best to all the participants, and congratulations for being the first torchbearers in the batch. We will also announce the next batch shortly. We already have 5 people who put up their hands, so we will share all those details shortly, and we would encourage everybody to join the same. So with this, we will move on to the Q&A. Like I said, you please add the any question and answers as we discuss on to that. So Chirag, the first question is from me only. I mean, the question I have is, would you qualify him as a standalone genius, or is it also something to do with his team, right? Like he has so many ventures, so many ideas, and even his execution has been pretty good. Uh, what would your take be, and what is his management style? I mean, that's one thing which I couldn't gather exactly. Like he's a difficult boss, like you said, demanding, but how is his management style?
Yeah. So basically, see, he's a very bad boss. I mean, I can never think of talking to my employees like the way he does. But he is a very demanding boss. He demands results from his team, and if they don't deliver, then they are fired. Usually what I gathered from reading the book is that most of his employees, they either they love him and they are ready to bear his his views and insults and all those things, and they stick to him through all his tribulations. But there are many who can't bear him, and they just zone out after working with him sometimes. So there are interviews of some of the employees in his company who were frustrated by his working with him. They left him, and then they rejoined him again because of the drive of the work he's doing. I mean, it is the innovation which drives these employees, and that is what his core strength is. And even the
Sure.
his employees, they are very much driven by the innovation man, and by creating the things which he wants them to do. And this is the drive which keeps everybody together. So he's a very tough boss, and he doesn't mind talking insulting his employees, and doesn't mind talking tough to his employees, and they have to fall in line. So there are many parallels with him and Steve Jobs, if you remember.
Right.
When Steve Jobs was living, he was also very much demanding, and insulting his employees. People couldn't bear him. And that's how it is with Elon Musk. So there are many
Got it.
parallels with him and Steve Jobs.
Thanks, Chirag. The other question I have is you did spend some time on Twitter. Now, if you see compared to all his other investments, all his other businesses, like they were something to do with innovation, technology. Twitter standalone is not something which is innovative, or it was a platform. So the question I have is, would you qualify that it would be one of his biggest failures? Because obviously the value of Twitter since he took it over has dropped. Uh,
Yes.
and it obviously did take up a lot of his time as well. Do you think Twitter, that while it was maybe something to do with his school, while he was growing up, something to do with, how he experienced bullying, etc. But do you see that it was worth his time?
Yeah. So basically, before he took over Twitter, things were going great. He had some billions and trillions of valuation. Tesla was valued at $1 trillion. SpaceX was valued at about 100, billion dollars, and all his companies were doing great. But uh, he was driven. I think the motivation to take over Twitter was more towards the wokeism which was going on Twitter, and he in his own family, his or her second or third daughter, no, not daughter, son Xavier. The Xavier turned woke and converted to Jenna. She said one fine day, he or she, whatever, said that I'm a girl, and now from now on you should call me a girl, and my name is Jenna. And he got shocked with that. I mean, what is going on? Why are you changing your gender? And this is one. He says he loved Xavier very much, and this very much made him sad that the America is going towards wokeism and gender and all this nonsense, and the Twitter is driving all that. So, so the politics of it and all those things was a prime motivation towards him going towards Twitter, and not the business sense. That's what I feel.
Thanks, Chirag. Just taking a few questions in light of the two questions that we've already discussed. So one question is from Bhavesh, is he equally open to feedback? And maybe I'll ask those two questions together. One is he equally open to feedback from his team? And second question from Chirag is he a role model kind of person that young gen should get inspired from? Being demanding is most leaders are, but overall from a personality standpoint, do you think he is inspiring to the young gen? Like, does he connect with the young gen?
Yeah. So to answer the first question, he was open to feedback from his team, but only if the feedback is sensible, and if he gets convinced with the feedback. So just to give an example, the robo taxi which you saw, he was very much he had made up his mind that robo taxi should not have a steering wheel, and his team members were aghast, because if you don't have a steering wheel, and what if an accident is going to happen? But he was adamant that the AI and the autopilot should be able to manage the accident and should be able to save the person, but there should not be steering wheel, come what may. And then, but finally he had to he the team his team were adamant about having a steering wheel, at least till the time the AI is perfect. And that is how he listened to the feedback from his team, and for the some of the prototypes which now have been launched are with the steering wheel, but they are only for the just to avoid getting an accident, that's it. And basically the feedback which he listens from his team is only what he is convinced about. He will not if he's not convinced, then he will not take the feedback. And the other question, as a role model, there are so many things to get inspired from Elon Musk. As in, just look at the way he's thinking, his innovation, his mind starts where our mind stops. So, who would have thought making just his zeal of going to Mars? It has inspired so many things. It has inspired even the Boring Company, even the uh, Starlink, or so many other innovations which he is coming up with. it is there are so many things to get inspired from.
Sure. Sure. Thanks. One more question from the audience is, and this is more closer home. Few months ago, Elon did announce about visiting India, and I think there was a lot of expectation, but eventually, he's taken a decision not to invest in India. Any insights into what happened, etc.?
So
I know it may not be part of the book, but given from whatever you know about or have read about it, you can share.
yeah, so basically, what he wants, what he demands is always complete control, which I think the Indian government might not have given. Indian government is more into make in India and wants to promote sourcing components from India and all those things. So I think there are some sticky points. For example, when he moved to China a few years back, uh, at that time, Chinese government had a policy that you should tie up with a local Chinese company and then invest in China. But he was adamant that if I were to invest in China, it would be only me and not a local company. And finally, China had to give in and agree to his demands. And that is how he came up with a plant in Shanghai and wherever is there in China. So he is very much
Sure.
adamant to get on his terms. And right now, maybe the Indian government are not coming to his terms.
Got it. Thanks, Chirag. Last few questions. I don't see any more on the chat, but more from my side. There's obviously strong trend that Trump may get reelected.
Yeah.
Does the book cover anything on his relationship with Trump?
It does cover. I mean, in 2016, he was very much anti-Trump, and he was more of a liberal Democrat. He had voted for Democrat in 2016, and his views turned more Republican over the time after what happened to his son Xavier, and when he took over Twitter. So over the time, he turned more into a Republican guy. But at that time, he hated Trump. He didn't get along well with Trump, and now he has reconciled to it, and I think he's more of an anti-democrat right
And I think one more interesting episode was his cage fight rumor with
now. Yeah, with
Mark
Mark Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg. If you can share any insights into that.
So all that is part of his antics, and
Okay.
he even had a fight with. There's a chapter on Musk with Bezos. He has had a
Yeah.
fight with Bezos also from Amazon. He has had a fight with even the Bill Gates. So Bill Gates had visited him and seen his facility, and then he had insulted Bill Gates on Twitter and all those things.
Mm.
So he has had fights with everybody, and he doesn't get along with a lot of people.
Sure. Thanks. We've got one more question from Bhavesh on the chat, which is which entrepreneur from India you think comes close to being like Elon Musk? Difficult one, but if you can think of any.
I don't see. I mean, if you look at an Indian, I mean, the one company which is a very high tech Indian company, maybe the best which comes to my mind is Zoho. But I mean, which hires local Indian people in Tamil Nadu and all those things, but not with the attitude of Musk.
Mm.
I hardly can see any Indian company which right now matches the behavior and attitude of Musk, and which does an innovation of the kind Musk is doing. Right?
Yeah. I think one person who's showing some tendencies is Bhavesh Agarwal at Ola.
Yeah, Ola can be one
He's
trend,
been trying to set up things on his own,
but
do
still,
things
Ola has
differently.
not been you know not reached to the level of what it should be there. I mean, the capabilities are there.
Sure, thanks. We've got one more question on the chat from Mr. Vijay Savla. So you mentioned that he hires people with the right attitude, and so I think he hires people who match the expectation without any much resistance. I'm just reading out the question. We also interview and try to check tech soft skills behavior, but not checking attitude scientifically.
Mhm.
How to So the question is, how would one check attitude during interview? I mean, I'm not sure if the book has any insights into this, but if you could
Yeah, I
share.
don't think the book has an insight on how to check attitude, but there are I think there are many mechanisms of having a a live case study kind of a thing where
Sure.
you put the person into the situation and see what he's doing, give him a challenge, give him a
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. So that way you can see his attitude and
Hmm. Okay. Uh, I think the only other question
Karan,
I
your voice is
may
getting
add have the one we won last about him and
hello. I think Karan has Vivek, can you check with Karan?
yeah.
Yeah, so summarizing, Karan is back.
Sorry. Apologies. I had a mistake. No, so the question was around his minimalism approach to minimalism. Any insight as to how and why, like it's
So, minimalism, you can see in his, I mean, he has sold all his real estate belongings. He owns nothing. He just has a small house and he never stays in his house. He's always, traveling. But what he believes is that he doesn't want his own. How he's more involved in the creation, in innovation, his
Mhm.
projects and everything, and he's just not interested in things for himself. So he also doesn't do exercise and he doesn't take care about his health. He's completely focused on what he's doing. He's, sometimes he sleeps on the floors of his factory. There are many
Oh, wow.
instances he has slept on the floors of factory, but he's not. He doesn't care for expensive hotels and all those things.
Mhm.
Big vacations.
Okay.
He doesn't care about all those things.
Okay. So I think we've come to the end of the Q&A unless anybody else has any. I think to your, you had mentioned if people could put up what they think. I think the only word like similar to your crazy is mad. That has been put up by one of the person. Sorry, one more question. Last question. Does the book have anything on him trying to run for a presidential seat?
I don't think right now, but he has all the qualities to be a president after, Musk has, I mean, after Donald Trump has retired. So
Right.
he's very much qualified to be the next
Okay.
president after Donald Trump.
Okay.
That's what
Okay.
I think.
Thanks, Chirag. I think we'll end the Q&A here if there are no further this and would like to sincerely thank you, Chirag, for the effort. Reading a 670 page book is no small feat, and especially the way you put it together in a concise manner with all the key lessons, I think was very, very useful. I think we may get asked for sharing this presentation, but we can do that later. So thank you so much for the effort. I think the lessons were very, very important, and clearly, like I said, I have found newfound appreciation for Elon as an individual. I mean, I knew he was a genius, but there's some more appreciation to the things that he's done and the way he has approached them. I think valuable lessons. So thanks once again, and I'd also like to thank all the audience for coming out in strong numbers on Sunday morning and actively participating in the Q&A. Thanks again, and would wish all of you a happy rest of Sunday, and see you in the next book review as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for attending the seminar. Thanks very much.
Thanks all.